Next segment tonight, a viewer warning. There is a satire called Barak, the Magic Negro, that will offend some people, no doubt about it. But in order for us to report on this, we have to play some of the satire, so be forewarned. The parody is by Paul Shanklin, who writes comedy material for Rush Limbaugh, among others. The problem is that Chip Saltzman, a former Tennessee Republican chairman, has sent Shanklin's satire to some RNC members, and that is causing some concern. Roll the tape.
Barak, the Magic Negro, lives in D.C. The L.A. Times, they call him that 'cause he's not authentic like me. Yeah, the guy from the L.A. paper said he make guilty whites feel good. They'll vote for him and not for me 'cause he's not from the hood.
All right, and the satire, the guy who was seen as supposed to be Al Sharpton. Joining us from Philadelphia, Dr. Mark Lamont Hill, Fox News analyst, and from Los Angeles, Larry Elder, author of the book Stupid Black Men. Is this a big deal, Larry? I mean, should anybody be concerned about this?
In my opinion, it is not a big deal, except to the extent that, as always, whenever a Republican says anything that can be arguably construed as racially insensitive, they've got to do the perp walk. This song, as you pointed out, was really Al Sharpton being angry that Barack Obama is popular among whites. And so if anybody ought to be offended, really, it ought to be Al Sharpton. Whether or not it should have been sent out to other people is a whole different question, and I think it raises the double standard. When Republicans do something like this, we apologize.
If you were a Republican, look, the Republican Party has problems, big problems right now. And if you were a Republican big shot in D.C. and one of your guys, Saltzman wants to run for RNC chairman, sent this out to a bunch of people, would you call Saltzman and say, hey, knock it off, that's not what you should be doing?
What I would say is this is going to be interpreted as an assault on Barack Obama, and it probably isn't a smart thing. But what I would also say is this: don't be a wimp, and make sure that you understand that Democrats make all sorts of horrific statements. Charlie Rango once said that George W. Bush was our Bull Connor. He, of course, was the Southern law enforcement guy who put on
but you
water hoses
never
and
justify
dogs.
Bad behavior by pointing to other bad behavior, as Dr. Hill knows, because he never does that. Now, is this a big deal to you, Dr. Hill? I mean, is this a big deal?
Oh, it's absolutely big. I'm sure it's a big deal to you too, Bill. I mean, this is absolutely ridiculous. I agree. Democrats often say racist things, but that's not an excuse to let Republicans off the hook. It's an excuse to put Democrats on the hook. All people should be responsible for the bad behavior. Whenever you demean a person in public view, it's embarrassing.
But what about satire? What about the satirical element of this? You know,
Bill,
I mean, we see Saturday Night Live, and we see a lot of stuff that what comes to mind is the blind stuff with Governor Patterson. Remember that they played a couple of weeks ago? So where does satire, where does the line have to be drawn?
Well, I would follow your lead, as many people do, Bill, and I would invoke the same outrage you had a few weeks ago when there was the Prop 8 musical that you found not satirical but simply mean-spirited and problematic. I'm echoing your stance there and saying, yeah, it's wrong. Some satire is offensive, some satire is over the line, just like you said a few weeks ago.
I can't believe you're being so nice to me today, Dr. Hill. This must be your the Christmas season.
It's actually a double reverse here. You'll catch it in a little bit.
But if
Bill,
if you are I want Dr. Hill to clarify one thing. What's mean-spirited about satirizing Al Sharpton's disenchantment that Barack Obama stole the spotlight? What is mean-spirited about that?
Well, there's two things. One, when you actually listen to it, you see the way the person is use a sort of mocking version of African-American vernacular English, sort of mocking the way African-American people speak. And two, they've stripped it of all of that complexity. They've stripped it of the complexity of the song and of the L.A. Times article. This is not about racial complexity. This is about making fun of a president, making fun of black people, and it gives white people 48 hours to use the word Negro in full public view. That's what this is about, and that's why it's dangerous.
What do you say to that, Larry?
Well, I disagree with almost all of it. First of all, Barack Obama was asked about this parody when he was on a radio station, I believe in Detroit, that carries Rush Limbaugh's program. And Barack Obama said he hadn't heard it, but he had heard about it, and he expects to be made fun of. Moreover, he says that he occasionally listens to Rush Limbaugh and didn't take offense to this at all.
But he always
back to the LA Times.
He has to say that.
Yeah, he always does.
That's the point.
Obama always
That's the point of the song.
Maybe
that's the point of the song, Larry.
May I finish? Maybe, just maybe, he means it. More than that, Bill, the article in the LA Times said that white people are drawn to Barack Obama because he is inoffensive and safe. It seems to me that's offensive to white people. They also said he reminds, Obama does, white people of inoffensive people like Sidney Poitier and Morgan Freeman. That ought to offend those two guys. And finally, it acted as if the only reason Barack Obama was doing well is because he's safe for white people as opposed to being a darn good politician. So if anybody ought to be offended, they ought to be offended at the gentleman who wrote the article in the LA Times. But they're not. They're offended at Rush Limbaugh and offended at the Democrat,
Larry,
and I don't think it's fair.
If the word Negro, is that offensive?
I thought that word had been retired 20 years ago along with the term right on. But again, it was a black writer in the LA Times who used the term Negro.
But Dr. Hill, you think the word Negro is offensive?
Depending upon the way it's used, absolutely. I remember about a year ago, a Syracuse professor called our friend Juan Williams a happy Negro. We were all offended and outraged.
That was awful.
Yeah, and you were outraged. You were outraged by it. So
but
again,
that
I'm echoing your outrage,
clearly
Bill.
an Uncle Tom reference, and that was beyond the pale. All right, gentlemen, great discussion, great debate. Happy New Year to you both. Plenty more ahead as the factor moves along this evening. No